Hey, Andrea. Okay, so I'm finally getting to do this video for you. I thought I'd just start and just play that for you. I did start with the Bouree 2, obviously. I wasn't going to play the first one, and then I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and do it so that you have it. I didn't play the repeats, obviously, just to save time, but I would do the repeats when you're playing it. And that might feel sometimes like, why am I doing the repeats? But the repeats actually help a lot. I don't know. Bach is very special, and the repeats, they mean something. So even if you're not sure about what all that means, just do sometimes play it where you actually play all the repeats. And there's a lot of repeats in this one. Let's see. So just looking at Bouree 2, looking at the minor part of the song, the first two lines repeat. And then when you go on after the second time through, you go to measure 9. I feel like I should show you this instead of just painting at it. Whoops, I dropped something. Okay. So the first two lines, they repeat. So there's your repeat sign. Okay, you go back here, you play it again. After you play it the second time, then you go here at measure 9, and you're going to play all the way to the end, and then it says repeat again. So this repeat, you're going to go back to here and play the second part again. And then it says DC Bouree 1 al fine. Okay, so usually we'll just see DC al fine. So that means da capo al fine. Da capo, the DC da capo, it's Italian. So it means go to the head of the song, or to the top. So go back to the beginning and play to the finish, fine. Okay? And it's saying go to the beginning of Bouree 1 and play to the finish. So that would be over here. And let's see, wait. It's hard to see it that way. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. So, okay, let me back it up a minute. If you start at the beginning, at the very, very beginning, like you should, I mean, when you're just playing the second part, you would just do the 2 repeats and probably stop there. But when you want to play the whole thing together, because you do play the whole thing together, you would start here. After the first 2 lines, you repeat. You go back to here. Then after the second time, you finally go on. Notice there's a little repeat symbol right there. Okay, so you're going to play the whole second part, and then it repeats back to measure 9. So you play that a second time, and then you finally get to go on to the second page, okay? And then you do the repeats like I said before, so 2 times here, then 2 times here. And at the end of it, after that second time, it says da capo al fine, so back to the top and then to the finish. So now we're gonna go back over here, and you're gonna play straight through from here all the way down to the fine. Okay, so, and the second, when you come back here and you're doing the da capo al fine, you don't repeat, don't do this repeat, you don't do this repeat, you just play it straight through one last time. Okay, so that's a lot. So it makes this actually a really long piece. I mean, that means you're playing 5 pages, right? You play this 2 times, this 2 times, and this 1 more time. So that's really 5 pages of music by doing those repeats. It's kind of interesting to see if you can play all of the repeats and go all the way through. Okay, so, and it's a similar thing for the piece before it as well, the Gavotte in D major, the one that you worked on before. So if you haven't tried that with all the repeats, you could try that. It's similar in the way that it works, okay? Okay. So let's talk about the second Bouree, the minor part. Let's go to measure 9, okay, and talk about that. Was there anything I wanted to talk about in the first part? I want you to notice that it says dolce, okay? And you probably already know that that means sugar or sweet. Okay, so we're gonna play this as sweet as possible. And I want you to know it feels different than the first Bouree. So like if I flip it over, the first Bouree, the notes are more separated. I wouldn't say it's dolce, it's quick, notes are separated. It's not like perpetual motion per se, but it's definitely, it moves along, it's very energetic. Whereas this one, there's a lot more slurs and these long dashes, and everything is just sort of long, okay? So you want to play everything very lengthy, there's very long lines, and so it's a very fluid, long bow, lots of slurs, very legato, okay? And so legato means everything is very long, okay? So really luxuriating in the bow, lots and lots of bow. Nothing is really staccato in any way. It's very sing-songy and pretty, okay? So I would encourage you to work on that. I think you were getting the notes pretty good in here. I know there's some weird notes right at the very beginning, and we marked some of the ones the last time I talked to you. So now let's go to here. Okay, so I will say that you get the occasional note, two notes like this. Notice how there's, you know, two quarter notes or two ta, ta, and there's dashes over top, okay? So that means that the notes are slightly separated or detached, okay? The actual term is détaché, which means detached. And when they're detached, but notice that it's not a dot, it's not a staccato dot, and so if it was staccato, it'd be really, really stopped. But because it's a line instead, it means they still have length to them. They're as long as you can make them and still detach them just a little bit, okay? So, and I'm gonna show you, notice here, we have it here too. So even though there's a slur, there's two détaché markings over top of them, and that means that you're going to separate just a little even though you're slurring it. So I'm going to play that for you, and I'm going to play those two that don't have a slur but they have the same détaché markings. Okay? Okay. I'll do the two with no slur first. So this is measure 10. I might back up a little. So it's just slightly separated. So if it was connected, it would sound like this. Just fully never stopping your bow. But détaché with some length feels like, okay? So if I put that together, if I start with the pickups at measure 9, okay? So there's just a slight separation, and that happens all over this piece. So let me go back to measure 5 where the two notes are slurred together with the détaché markings. So it looks like this, and I think they're almost always up bow. Let me try that again. So they're as long as I can make them. It's about half the bow and then another half of the bow and just slightly separated. So instead of doing, so that's no separation at all, okay? Same thing at the very beginning. You have, so just slightly separated. Now, if there is no détaché marking on some notes or within a slur, then it's just a nice smooth slur, okay? Smooth connections. Okay, so that kind of happens all over the place. So keep that in mind. And that seems silly, but it makes a big difference in how you play it. Okay, now, let's go to measure, would this be it? Measure 10, okay? So measure 10, you have, okay? So in measure 10, I like to highlight this bowing right here. So you have 3 notes slurred together, put your down bow, and then go ahead and write these bowings in here. If you need to pause this and write that in, just go ahead, okay? And I'm gonna write something, so you pause that. Sorry, I might have to write a few things on here. Okay, here we go. So those 3 slurred notes, you want to use that long legato down bow slur and go to the tip of your bow, okay? And then these separate notes all the way to here, you're going to stay at the tip of the bow. So don't travel outside of the tip, and I'll demonstrate it, okay? And then, because then you have this super long up bow thing, right? And that's very, very long. And so that means when you get here, you will be at the very tip of the bow, and you'll have your entire bow to squeak out all these notes, okay? And it works really well if you do that. But the trick is right here, you have to go to the tip, okay? So let me see if I can demonstrate that for you. Okay, here we go. So no matter where you are in the bow, you're gonna go to the tip. So now I'm at the tip, and I'm gonna stay at the tip. Okay? I used a lot of bow for each note, but I just stayed in the tip. Now I'm at the tip, and I can play that long slur. Okay? So then I had plenty of bow, and it was no problem, okay? Now, moving on to the next measure, you have the grace note. You're just gonna play those 2 notes like they're 2 eighth notes, 2 TTs. Sorry, I'm writing this in as I go. I had this all written in. But I think people borrow my books and don't give them back, and then I'm like, where's my book with all my markings in it? T, 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 ta. And then these 2 would be slurred together, so that's actually not, sorry, it doesn't look that great, but T, T, and they're slurred together, so T, 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 ta. Okay? I think it's a down bow. And then T, T, ta, T, T. Down, up, down, up. Da, da. So I want you to notice that this sort of feels like the end of this phrase, this ta right here. And then where the forte is, these last 2 notes are the pickup note to the next line, okay? So it's okay to take a little slight pause right there. T, 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 ta, da, da, da. And so it should feel like you're starting a new line. Here I just put a little apostrophe right there, which means take a breath, just a little breath right there. And then when you start this, da, 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 it's forte, right? So all this is really nice. You play all this really as beautifully as you can. And then here it decrescendos, it all sort of comes down. And then when you come in again, it's forte. So now you get to really play out, really sing out right there. So that looks like. You hear the détaché again, so right there, or maybe just very gentle, okay? So now let's talk about this section. So starting with the 2 pickup notes to measure 13, where the forte is. Your fingering is pretty much consistent with that key in what you've been working on with the B flat perpetual motion or the G minor gavotte that you learned earlier in the book. That will work as well. So if you're playing, watch my fingers. Now I have to make my 1 sharp. I tuck it right behind mine 2. So there is an F sharp in measure 14, okay? And then right after that, and I'm gonna mark this actually. Okay, so, I can't do this with my violin in my hand. Sorry. I thought I could. I can't. Okay. Okay, so here you have the F sharp. Okay, so this was all flat. See how it says B flat? So you had a low 1, and that's fine. And then here you do have that 1. It comes back up to the tape. Da, da, just make it touch your 2. They touch each other. Da, 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 and this is still a flat 4. That's B flat. So that feels a little bit weird. And honestly, after you play this F sharp, you could release it if you want to. You don't use it again because after that, then you have, let me make sure I'm reading this. Yeah, that's F natural. So it comes back down to a low 1. And then you get open E. So let me write that in there for you. Okay, so, right, so we talked about this. You can let that sharp 1 go. And then, okay, so over here, da, 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 you're gonna go back to a flat 1. And this says E natural. So that means it's just open E. And you don't have to worry about the E flat for a second. And so definitely use the open E and make your life easier, okay? And then again, this is still a flat 1. Technically, it's F natural, but F natural is a low 1. It's in that flat 1 place because it's just a weird note, okay? And then you have open E again, and then notice that you get a C sharp, so you're going to have a sharp 2. So your 3 and your 2 are going to touch. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, now, da, da, now you're going to have flat 4 again, so let me make a few marks for you. So once you go on to this next section, okay, and I'm going to mark this. Okay, so let's go here. All right, so starting with, sorry, it's hard on the video. Okay, so starting here, this is your next section. It starts with these 2 pickup notes to go in here. I would say this is probably one of the trickier lines. There's a lot of extra accidentals, sharps, flats, and stuff like that. So it's kind of a lot to watch. And so, you know, feel free to pause it and take note of all the things that I've written in here and write them in for yourself, okay? Because it really, really helps. So here, you know, when we just finished this section, you had open E's, okay? And then starting in this new, the pickup note to the next line, you get your E flat back. So now this is E flat, it's a flat 4 again. And then when you come over here, this is a low 1, a flat 1, followed by a flat 4 that is not open E. And then, then you get a B natural. So that is not flat. It means you're going to bring your 1 back up to the tape just for a second. It's going to touch your 2 to be right behind it. And then you can release it because then you have a low 1 again. And a flat 4. And then, and then you have an F sharp. So that's a little strange. So definitely try to do that. Okay, so now your 1's on the tape again, and you have a flat 4 right after, which feels kind of strange. Then you have it again. Da, 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 da. This is a flat 4. So you have a 1 on the tape, an F sharp, and then a flat 4, which is weird. Da, 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 da. And then I'm going to put I'm adding that this is flat, even though I don't need to write that, it's in the key, but with all of this craziness going on, if something is, you're having a 1 on the tape followed by a low 1, and so that's difficult, okay? So feel free to write it in if it helps you in any way. Okay, now once you get to here, things are sort of normal and they just go with that key signature, so your B's are flat. You have a little something normal here, da, 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 but that should feel like, hold on. I like to say here where you have, it says E natural and F sharp. Basically, it's just your fingers on the tapes. Nothing flat, nothing low. Just put your fingers on the tapes on the D string, okay, for just a second. Then these are all normal flats like you have in the key, all the way to the end except for the F sharp, okay? And honestly, you definitely want to write all these things in, try to figure it out best you can. But honestly, that's why I played it for you. You should just listen to it a lot. Listen to it, and get the sound in your ear. It's a very pretty melody, and once you know it well enough, you've heard it enough that you can sort of sing it, it will help you find those notes, or at least know and recognize if you're not hitting the note or you're not catching it or putting your finger in the right place. And then that's good, because then you can try to figure it out and fix it, okay? So knowing the way it sounds so well that you could sort of hum along is super, super important. So I would recommend to just listen to that again and again, maybe once each day. Just listen to it before you play it until you just know it super well, okay? And that'll just help you find these notes so much better. Okay, all right, so take all of that and see if that can help you until Thursday, when I see you on Thursday. Okay, so, and then we'll take it from there. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.